Welcome, dear traveler. Tonight the journey takes you to the edge of a mountain lake, to an old boathouse that has been standing at the shore longer than anyone can say. You will hear it before you see it. The slow creak of ancient wood settling in the night air. Patient, low, the sound of something that has been here through more winters than memory reaches, and is simply continuing to be here for you tonight. Before we begin, if this story brought you peace tonight, subscribe to Medieval Sleep Tales. New sleep stories are waiting for you there. Now, set everything down. Not slowly, all at once. The way the mist releases from the tree line and simply drifts out across the water without deciding to. The day is done. Whatever it gave you and whatever it took from you, set it at the edge of this path and leave it there. It will still be there if you want it tomorrow. Tonight, you will not need any of it. Find where your body is heaviest right now. The shoulders most likely, or the jaw, or the place behind the eyes where the day collects itself and refuses to leave quietly. Simply notice it. You do not need to push it away. Simply lie down beneath it. Let the surface hold the weight that you have been holding. The mattress, the floor, the earth beneath both. All of it patient. All of it asking nothing from you except to let go. Your hands can open now, the way the lake opens on a still night. No effort, simply open, receiving whatever the dark gives. Breathe in slowly. Feel the chest rise. Breathe out, long and complete. In, something old loosens. Out, something you forgot you were carrying leaves. In, the lake is still ahead of you. Out, the path is already beneath your feet. The boathouse is not far. The moonlight is already on the water through the trees. Silver, wide, perfectly still. And the old wood is already creaking its low familiar welcome in the dark at the shore. Walk toward it now, quietly, the way this night deserves. The lake finds you before you find it. That is the particular nature of still water at night. It does not announce itself the way rivers announce themselves, with sound and movement and the constant insistence of flowing things. Still water simply waits, and waiting, it gathers the moonlight. And gathering the moonlight, it becomes the brightest thing in the ancient landscape. Brighter than the sky above it, because the sky is scattered with stars and the lake is not. The lake holds the moon in one unbroken piece, solid, silver. A second moon sitting in the valley below the first. You see it through the old trees before the path brings you to the shore. A gap between two ancient pines where the medieval forest thins slightly, the silver of it filling the gap from one edge of dark bark to the other. You stop walking and simply look at it for a moment through that gap. The lake is bigger than you expected. It always is. The mind imagines a certain size for a mountain lake at night, and the reality is always more than that. Always wider, always more silver, always more completely still than any mind can prepare itself for. The mist is on the water, not everywhere, in patches, soft and low, sitting just above the ancient surface, the way mist sits when the air above the water is cooler than the air below it. The mist moves, but barely, drifting in the direction of the very slight air movement coming down from the old mountains above, so slowly that you cannot see the movement directly. Only if you look away and look back. The mist in a different place than it was. The ancient lake having rearranged itself in the time your eyes were elsewhere. The path turns at the two ancient pines and goes left along the shore. The old forest thinning on your right now, the lake visible between the dark trunks in a continuous silver presence. The path old here, centuries old perhaps. The earth of it packed to a hardness, it belongs only to paths that have been walked by generation, after generation of feet, all going the same, direction toward the same place since the old times. Your feet finding it easy. No decision required. The path goes, and your feet follow the path, and the ancient lake moves beside you through the trees, and the moon above it burns its cold silver light, and the mist moves its imperceptible movement across the surface. The smell of the lake reaches you, something clean, something mineral and cold, and carrying the particular smell of deep water that has been sitting in this mountain valley since before any map was made of it. Not an unpleasant smell, the opposite. A smell so clean and so ancient that breathing it feels like the beginning of something rather than the continuation of anything the day contained. You breathe it twice, 3 times, each time deeper than the last. The old boathouse appears at the curve of the path. Not gradually. It is simply not there. And then it is there, as the path curves around the last stand of ancient pines and the shore opens into a small clearing, where the medieval structure sits at the very edge of the water. You stop walking. It is smaller than you imagined, low and dark, its walls the dark gray of old oak timber that has been weathering for centuries beside this water. The roof low-pitched, covered in thick moss that has been growing there since long before anyone living was born. In daylight, it would be deep green, but in the moonlight, it is simply dark, simply ancient, simply the roof of a building that has stopped trying to be anything other than what centuries have made it, which is old beyond reckoning and moss-covered, and standing at the edge of this mountain lake in the dark, as it has stood through every night since its first stones were laid and its first timbers were cut from the old forest above. An ancient stone jetty extends from its left side into the still water. Old dressed stone, each block fitted to the next without mortar in the old way, the way medieval builders fitted stone when they knew what they were doing and had the time to do it properly. The blocks dark with age and with the water line that has been rising and falling against them through the seasons of many centuries. The jetty does not move. The water does not move. Everything here committed to its stillness, the way only very old things are committed to anything, not with effort, simply by being so thoroughly itself that movement becomes irrelevant. The tallow lantern in the small window is very faint, almost nothing, the suggestion of warmth rather than warmth itself. Its flame burning low in its old iron housing, the tallow nearly spent, giving barely enough light to be called light at all. Whatever remains of it is the only warm color in a landscape that is otherwise entirely silver and dark blue, and the deep black of still water at midnight. It matters because of its smallness, because of its singularity. One warm point in all this cold silver. The eye finds it immediately and does not leave it easily. The boathouse creaks. Once, a single low sound from somewhere in the ancient oak timber of its walls, the old wood settling, responding to the slight drop in temperature that comes with the deepening of the night. The sound so brief and so low that it is gone before you have fully registered it as sound. But it stays, in the way that very quiet sounds in very quiet ancient places stay, not echoing, simply present in the air for a moment longer than the sound itself lasted. Dear traveler, stand here for a moment before you go inside. Feel the air on your face. The cold of a mountain night at this altitude and this hour. The particular cool of a lake night where the day's warmth has been completely given back to the sky, and what remains is the ancient air's own temperature, which is this, which is cool and clean, and carrying the smell of the old lake, and the ancient forest, and the old stone beneath both. Feel your feet on the path, the centuries-old packed earth beneath you, the work of many generations of feet making it what it is. You are standing on something made by the continuous passage of people, who came to this medieval shore before you and will come after you, who stood, some of them, in approximately this place and looked at approximately this view. The same ancient lake, the same moon, the same faint tallow light in the small window of the same old boathouse. They felt what you are feeling. The particular loosening that happens when a person arrives at still water at night. Something in the chest. Something that does not have a name, but that you would recognize if you tried to describe it. The sense that whatever you have been carrying has become less heavy in the presence of this much ancient stillness. As if the old lake's stillness is something that can be borrowed. As if standing near, it is enough to take some of it into yourself. It is enough. You are already taking it in. Breathe in. The cold ancient lake air fills you completely. Breathe out. The mist drifts in its slow and patient way. Breathe in. The moonlight is silver on everything. Breathe out. The old boathouse waits at the water's edge. The ancient stone jetty is solid beneath your feet as you walk out to the door. The old dressed stone steady despite its centuries. The lake on both sides of the jetty perfectly still. Your reflection broken into silver pieces in the dark water beneath you as you walk. The tallow lantern in the window growing very slightly warmer as you approach. The smell of the ancient oak timber reaching you now. Something dry and old. The smell of wood that has been weathering beside water for so many centuries that it has become its own particular thing. Neither purely wood nor purely water, but something that belongs entirely to this ancient place and nowhere else. The old iron latch of the door is cold in your hand. Very cold, the iron having given up all the day's warmth hours ago and settled into the temperature of the night air and the lake. You press the latch down. The old medieval mechanism moves with the smoothness of something that has moved this way 10,000 times across the generations. The heavy oak door swings inward on old iron hinges that make no sound. Simply open, simply receive. The warmth from inside reaches you before anything else. Small and real and amber. The ancient boathouse receiving you the way it has received everyone who has ever come through this old door at this hour. Completely, without condition, without asking anything at all. The warmth is the first thing. Not a large warmth, not the warmth of a great hearth or a roaring fire. Something smaller than that and more particular. The warmth of a small enclosed ancient space that has been holding the heat of a tallow lantern for several hours and has nowhere to send it except back into itself. The old oak walls absorbing it. the low-beamed ceiling above absorbing it, the stone floor beneath absorbing it, all of them giving it back slowly into the air of this one small room until the air itself has become warm. Not dramatically, simply warmer than the cold night outside, warmer than the lake, warmer than the stone jetty, warm enough that the moment you step through the old oak door, your face registers the difference and something in you responds to it before you have formed a single thought about it. Pull the door closed behind you. The old iron latch dropping back into its housing with a soft sound. The night outside sealed away. The cold, the lake, the mist moving its slow way across the ancient water. All of it still there on the other side of this old timber door, but no longer reaching you. The warmth of the boathouse closing around you from every direction simultaneously, from the walls on either side, from the low ceiling above, from the worn stone floor below, surrounding you completely the way the walls of something very old surround whatever is inside them, thoroughly, without gap. Stand here for a moment and let your eyes adjust. The tallow lantern on the old iron hook above the door behind you gives most of the light. Its flame very low now, nearly spent. The tallow candle inside it reduced to a small pool of wax at the base of the housing, the wick drawing up what remains with the same faithful steadiness it has burned with all evening. What light it gives is amber, deep amber, almost orange where it touches the nearest surfaces. The old oak walls catching it in the grain of the ancient timber and holding it there in long, warm lines. The low ceiling beams above absorbing it into their dark centuries-old surfaces and giving back a glow that is more warmth than light. The boathouse is one room, low and wide, the ceiling close enough above that the tallest person who ever sheltered here would have needed to mind their head beneath the central beam. The floor-old stone flags, uneven from centuries of use and from the slow movement of the ground beneath them across all those years. The flags worn pale in the center, where feet have always walked, and dark at the edges, where the water of the lake has been seeping in and retreating with the seasons for as long as this building has stood. The water is inside. That is the particular nature of a boathouse. The lake does not stop at its walls. A long rectangular opening in the floor where the stone flags end and the dark water begins. The indoor slip, ancient water, the same water that fills the lake outside, but stiller here, more enclosed, undisturbed by whatever small movements the night air makes on the outer surface. Perfectly black, perfectly still, reflecting the tallow lantern light above it in a single trembling amber point that barely moves. Two old wooden boats rest in the slip, dark hulled, low, their ancient timber the same weathered gray as the boathouse walls, as if the boats and the building have been aging together for so long that they have arrived at the same color. The boats do not move. The water beneath them does not move. They simply rest, in the way that very old wooden things rest when they have been in the same place, long enough that resting has become their nature. Old ropes of twisted hemp looped around the iron mooring rings, set into the stone edge of the slip, the ropes slack, the boats needing no restraint from water this still. The smell of the boathouse is ancient. Old water and old wood, and the particular smell of hemp rope that has been wet and dried across many seasons until the rope itself smells of all the water it has ever held. Beneath those smells, the tallow smoke from the lantern, faint, the particular sweetness of rendered tallow burning slowly in an old iron housing. And beneath all of them something older still, the smell of stone that has been at the edge of water since before this building was built upon it, cold and mineral and completely honest. The smell of something that has no interest in being anything other than what it is. Old fishing equipment hangs from the ceiling beams. Nets of woven hemp, dark with age and with the water they have spent their lives in, folded and hung across the lowest beam to dry. Beside them a long-handled gaff hook of dark iron, its wooden shaft worn smooth where many hands have gripped it across the generations. Clay weights on strings of twisted cord. Old wooden floats, their paint long gone, the bare wood beneath pale and smooth. Everything hanging still in the windless air of the closed boathouse. Everything speaking the same language of old use and long rest. You move to the wooden bench against the far wall. It has been here as long as the boathouse. You can see that in it. The wood of it the same dark ancient oak as everything else in this building. The surface of the seat worn smooth and slightly concave from the weight of the people who have sat on it across the centuries. Medieval fishermen, perhaps, coming in from the lake in the early morning cold and sitting here in the warmth of the lantern to sort their catch or simply to rest before going back out. Sitting in this exact place on this exact bench and feeling what you are feeling now. The warmth, the stillness, the smell of old water and old rope and old stone. You sit down, the old bench receives your weight without shifting, solid beneath you in the way that centuries-old things are solid, not the solidity of something new and untested, but the solidity of something that has been tested so many times that its reliability is no longer in question. You lean your back against the old stone wall behind the bench, the stone cool against your back, the warmth of the room on your face and your hands and your legs, the tallow lantern above the door behind you, casting its amber light across the boathouse floor and the dark water of the slip, and the two old boats resting in their perfect stillness. Dear traveler, sit here in this old place for a moment. Do nothing. Reach for nothing. Prepare for nothing. Simply sit on this ancient bench in this medieval boathouse at the edge of a still mountain lake, while the tallow lantern burns its last, and the old water in the slip holds its perfect darkness, and the boats rest in their centuries-old stillness, and the night outside continues its patient and enormous work of simply being the night. The ancient wood of the boathouse creaks again. Once, somewhere in the old walls, the timber settling deeper into itself as the temperature continues its slow drop toward the coldest point of the night. You do not startle at the sound. You know it now. It is the voice of this old building, speaking in the only language old timber knows, the language of settling, of releasing what the day put into it, of becoming a little more itself with each small sound. Breathe in. The ancient boathouse holds its warmth around you. Breathe out. The still water of the slip is dark and perfectly quiet. Breathe in. The old boats rest in their centuries of stillness. Breathe out. The tallow flame burns its very last amber above. Your hands are in your lap. Look at them for a moment in the lantern light. These hands that have been working since this morning, holding things, carrying things, doing what hands do through the long hours of a day without rest or recognition. They are still now, open in your lap, the amber light touching them, the warmth of the room surrounding them, the smell of old water and old rope and old stone in the air around them. Still, simply hands, simply here. Outside the lake is keeping its perfect silence, the mist moving its imperceptible way across the ancient surface, the moonlight burning its cold silver path from shore to shore, the old mountains at the edges of the water dark and patient and indifferent to the passage of this single night through the long count of their centuries. All of it continuing without you, all of it needing nothing from you. And you here, inside this ancient wooden warmth, on this old bench, in this medieval boathouse, at the edge of a still mountain lake that has been here since long before the first stone of this building was laid at its shore. Simply here, simply held. The tallow lantern goes out, not with any drama. The tallow simply finishes, the flame dropping lower in its final minutes without you noticing it dropping. The way all things that are nearly done give their last without announcement. And then it is simply dark where the amber was. The darkness that follows is not the sudden darkness of something extinguished. It is the completed darkness of something that gave everything it had and then stopped. There is a difference between the two. You feel it immediately. This is the second kind. The kind that feels like an ending that was always coming and has arrived exactly when it was meant to. Your eyes adjust. Slowly. The boathouse not entirely dark. The moonlight coming through the single small window above the water gate at the far end of the slip. Not much light. Enough. A pale silver rectangle of it lying across the dark water of the slip, crossing the black surface in a single cold stripe. The old boats just visible in it, their dark hulls, the hemp ropes looping from their iron rings to the mooring points in the ancient stone edge. Everything else in the boathouse deep shadow, familiar shadow now. The shadow of a place you have been sitting long enough that the dark no longer feels like darkness, but simply like the room with the lantern out. The water in the slip has changed, or your perception of it has changed. In the tallow light, it was simply dark. Now, with the lantern gone and the moonlight the only light, the water in the slip has become something else, something with depth to it. The silver stripe of moonlight on its surface catching the very slight movement of the water, movements so small they were invisible before, the water responding to something impossibly gentle, a temperature perhaps, or the breathing of the building above it. The surface shifting in silver increments too small to name, but visible now in this cold light in a way they were not visible in the warm amber of the tallow. The lake is alive in its stillness. That is what the water in the slip is telling you. That stillness is not the absence of movement, but a different kind of movement, slower, more patient. The movement of things that are not in a hurry because they have all the time there is. The boathouse creak comes again, twice this time. Two low sounds from the old oak walls, one after the other, with a breath between them. The ancient timber finding its equilibrium in the cold of the deep night. You have heard this sound enough times, now that it has become part of the room, the way the smell of old water is part of the room. Simply present. Simply the voice of this old medieval structure, doing what old medieval structures do in the cold hours between midnight and dawn, speaking in the language of settlement and age. Dear traveler, notice what has happened to your body since you sat down on this bench. Not suddenly, gradually, the way everything in this ancient place moves. Your shoulders have dropped from where they were when you first came through the old oak door. Not all the way. Most of the way. The muscles that hold them have been releasing in small increments since the warmth of the boathouse first surrounded you, and the smell of old water and old rope entered you, and the sound of the tallow lantern burning its quiet amber gave the room its rhythm. All of it working on you the way a long soaking in warm water works. Not with any single moment of release, but with the accumulated effect of warmth and time and stillness. Your legs are heavy. The particular heaviness of legs that have been walking and carrying and doing what legs do all day and have now been given permission to simply rest on the old stone floor of an ancient boathouse in the middle of a still night. They are not uncomfortable, simply heavy, simply honest about their weight, simply doing what they do when there is finally nothing more required of them. The moonlight on the slipwater has shifted slightly, the moon having moved in its slow arc across the sky above the boathouse roof. The silver stripe across the water, now at a slightly different angle than it was, narrower, more precise, cutting across the bow of the nearest old boat and continuing across the dark water to the ancient stone wall on the far side of the slip. The boat's weathered hull catching it along one edge and holding a thin silver line that moves very slightly with the imperceptible movement of the water beneath it. You watch this without watching it, your eyes receiving it rather than working to see it, the way eyes work in the deep of the night when the effort of seeing has been released, along with everything else, and what remains is simply the light arriving at the eye and the eye letting it arrive. The silver line on the old hull, the dark water around it, the reflected moonlight on the slip surface, trembling its small trembling, all of it present, none of it requiring anything from you. The smell of the lake is stronger now, coming through the water gate at the end of the slip. The cold mineral smell of ancient mountain water mixing with the smell of old oak and hemp rope and centuries of tallow smoke absorbed into the old timber walls. The air of this medieval boathouse, a layering of smells that each belong to a different time. The stones smell the oldest, then the timber smell, then the rope smell, then the tallow smoke. Each one a layer of the building's history, present simultaneously in every breath you take. You are breathing the history of this place, all of it. Every winter this boathouse has stood at the edge of this ancient lake. Every fisherman who sat on this bench before you in the cold hours. Every tallow lantern that burned in the old iron housing above the door, and then went dark the way this one went dark tonight. All of that present in the air of this one room, not as memory, as smell, as the particular composition of this air that belongs to this place and no other place on earth. Outside the ancient lake is completely still. The mist has thickened on the water in the coldest part of the night, sitting heavy and low across the entire surface now, the moonlight catching it from above and turning it silver, the mist itself glowing faintly with borrowed light. The old mountains at the edges of the valley, dark above the mist. The stars above the mountains burning with the particular brightness that stars have in the hours. After midnight, when the eyes of the world are closed and there's no light left on the ground to compete with them. The medieval forest along the shore is completely silent. The birds that settled in the ancient trees at dusk have been still for hours. The small creatures of the forest floor in their dens and hollows. The old trees themselves motionless in the absence of any wind. The forest holding its breath, the way forests hold their breath in the deep of the night, when the day's business is long finished and the dawn's business has not yet begun, and what remains is simply the night being the night, simply the lake being the lake. Simply this ancient boathouse being what it has always been, a shelter at the edge of still water. In the dark, breathe in. The cold lake air comes through the water gate. Breathe out. The old boats rest in their dark, still water. Breathe in. The moonlight crosses the slip in its cold silver line. Breathe out. The ancient walls hold their warmth around you. Something has been loosening in you since you sat down on this old bench. Not one thing, many things, the layers of the day, each one releasing in its own time, in its own order. The way the layers of smell in this old boathouse each belong to a different time and a different depth. The outermost layer first, the tension of the afternoon. Then beneath that the accumulated weight of the morning, then something older still, something that has been in you longer than today, longer than this week perhaps, something that needed exactly this combination of ancient darkness and old water smell and medieval stillness and the sound of old timber settling to finally reach it. It is being reached now. You can feel it. Or perhaps you cannot feel it exactly. Perhaps it is simply happening in the place where feeling and not feeling become the same thing. In the deep quiet of a body that has been given everything it needed and is now doing the rest of the work itself. Without your involvement, without your awareness. The way the old lake does its deep work in the dark, without any witness, without any need of one. The moonlight stripe on the slip water has narrowed to almost nothing. The moon having moved past the angle of the water gate, the slip nearly dark now, the two old boats barely visible, simply dark shapes on dark water, simply there, simply resting in the way they have always rested here. Since the first day they were set into this water in this ancient slip, in this medieval boathouse at the edge of this mountain lake, and you here with them, resting in the oldest sense of the word. There is a sleeping place in this old boathouse. You noticed it earlier without fully registering it, against the far wall beyond the slip. A low wooden sleeping frame built directly into the ancient oak wall. The frame itself part of the wall structure, as if the medieval carpenter who built this boathouse knew from the beginning that there would be nights like this one. Nights when whoever came to this shore would need more than the bench, would need the wall at their back, and the old water close beside them, and the darkness and the smell of the ancient lake in every breath. A straw pallet on the frame, thick enough, covered with old linen that has been washed pale and smooth from many seasons of use. A woolen blanket folded at one end, dark wool, heavy, the kind of blanket that was woven to last and has lasted. A small iron holder on the stone wall above the frame, empty now. Whatever tallow candle it held has been burned down to nothing on some previous night and not yet replaced. It does not matter. The moonlight coming through the small window above the water gate gives enough light to see by, barely, which is exactly right for this hour. Rise from the bench now, slowly. Feel the weight of your body as you rise. The heaviness of limbs that have been resting in the warmth and the stillness of this ancient place for long enough that the warmth and the stillness have entered them. Your body moving at the pace of this boathouse, which is slow, which is the pace of old water and old wood and old stone and the deep patient night outside. Cross the stone floor to the sleeping frame. The ancient flags cool and uneven beneath your feet. The slip water dark and still to your left as you pass it. The two old boats in their dark stillness. The hemp ropes slack on their iron rings. The moonlight stripe gone from the water now. The moon having moved past the angle of the window. The slip in full darkness, except for the faint ambient light that finds its way through the old timber walls from the moonlit night outside. Sit on the edge of the sleeping frame, the straw pallet firm beneath you, the old linen cool against the backs of your legs, the ancient wooden frame solid, not giving it all beneath your weight. The wall at your back cold stone and completely reliable. The woolen blanket within reach. The smell of the old lake stronger here, near the water gate at the end of the slip. The cold mineral smell of deep ancient water mixing with the smell of old straw and old linen and the centuries of tallow smoke that have settled into every surface of this medieval boathouse. Then lie down. Let the old frame receive you, the straw pallet firm and even beneath your back, the old linen cool against your neck and your arms and your legs, your head on the folded corner of the blanket that serves as pillow, your spine releasing its last held curve, your legs straight, your feet still, every part of you horizontal now, every part of you given over to the ancient surface beneath you, the way the lake gives itself over to the night, completely, without keeping anything back. Pull the woolen blanket over you. Feel the weight of it settle. Dark, heavy wool. The weight of something made to keep the cold out by someone who understood cold. It settles across your chest, your legs, your feet. The weight that says covered. The weight that says held. The weight that belongs to wool blankets in ancient places at the coldest hour of the night and means simply this. You are inside something warm. The cold is outside. The two will not exchange tonight. Breathe in. The ancient lake air comes cold and clean through the water gate. Breathe out. The old wool is warm across your body. Breathe in. The still water of the slip is dark beside you. Breathe out. The medieval boathouse holds you in its old timber walls. The moonlight has moved across the roof outside. You cannot see it from here, but you know it by the quality of the darkness above you. The low ceiling beams above your face very slightly lighter than absolute dark. The moon somewhere above the old moss-covered roof casting its cold silver down onto the ancient timber and the timber holding it and the faintest suggestion of it, coming through the gaps between the old boards to die somewhere in the air of the room before it reaches anything. Simply present. Simply the moon doing what the moon does on clear mountain nights above ancient lakes. The old boats are very close. In the slip beside your sleeping frame, you can hear them now in a way you could not hear them from the bench. The faintest sound of old hull against old water. Not movement exactly. A suggestion of movement. The water responding to something imperceptible. The weight of the boats in the water. The very slow breathing of the lake itself, coming through the water gate and reaching even into this enclosed slip, and moving the black surface in increments too small to see, but not too small to hear, if you are lying close enough, and the rest of the world is quiet enough. The rest of the world is quiet enough. Dear traveler, feel the full weight of your body right now. From your head on the folded blanket to your feet at the end of the sleeping frame. All of it. The full, honest weight of a body that walked a centuries-old path through an ancient forest tonight and stood at the edge of a mountain lake and crossed an old stone jetty and sat in a medieval boathouse while the tallow lantern burned itself out and the moonlight moved across the dark water of the slip and the old timber walls settled into their nightly equilibrium. All of that, this body, here, horizontal on an ancient sleeping frame in a medieval boathouse at the edge of a still mountain lake in the deep hours of a clear night. Your shoulders are flat against the old straw pallet, completely flat, the last of the holding gone from them, not pushed away, simply finished. The way the tallow finishes when the last of it is burned, without remainder, without anything left to hold. Your hands are open at your sides, warm beneath the woolen blanket, the cold of the night outside not reaching them, not reaching any part of you now. The blanket doing exactly what it was made to do by the hands that wove it, keeping the warmth in, keeping the cold out, with the simple reliability of something that has been doing this for longer than you have been alive. There is no separation now between your stillness and the stillness of the water in the slip, between the darkness behind your eyes and the darkness of the ancient boathouse, between your breathing and the slow breathing of the lake coming through the water gate, between the weight of your body on this old sleeping frame and the weight of the night over everything. One thing, all of it one thing. The boathouse creaks. Once more, somewhere deep in the old timber of the far wall. The sound lower than any of the sounds it made earlier in the night. More settled, as if the building has reached the place in its nightly releasing that it was always moving toward, the deepest and most complete version of itself in the dark. Which is this? Which is this sound? The final settlement of centuries-old oak in the cold hours before dawn. After the sound, the silence is total, and the silence is extraordinary. The kind of silence that belongs only to still water at night, to ancient places at the hour when the world is furthest from the day, to the space between one breath and the next in a body that is almost finished with waking. Almost finished with waking. Your eyes have been closed for some time now. You may not have noticed when it happened. That is how it happens here, not with a decision, not with a moment you can point to. Simply the eyes finding the position they find when the body is done with seeing for the night and the darkness behind. The eyelids is indistinguishable from the darkness of the room, and the distinction between the two stops meaning anything. The old lake is outside, the ancient mountains around it in the dark, the mist thick on the water now in the coldest hour, the stars above the mountains still burning in their patient and indifferent way, the medieval forest along the shore completely still, and you hear, inside all of it, inside the old boathouse, inside the woolen blanket, inside the warmth your body is made beneath it, inside the smell of ancient water and old hemp and centuries of tallow smoke, inside the sound of the old hull against the dark water of the slip, inside the total silence that follows each small sound and is deeper for having followed it. Dear traveler, you have walked the ancient path through the medieval forest. You have crossed the old stone jetty in the moonlight and lifted the iron latch of the heavy oak door and let the warmth of this old place receive you. You have sat on the centuries-old bench while the tallow lantern burned its last amber and gone out. You have watched the moonlight move its cold silver stripe across the dark water of the slip and heard the ancient timber settle into its nightly quiet and breathed the layered history of this medieval boathouse with every slow breath. And now you are lying on the old sleeping frame in the dark with the still water beside you and the old wool blanket above you and the ancient lake breathing its cold breath through the water gate. And nothing more is needed. The still water is beside you. The ancient mountains are around the lake. The old forest is along the shore. The medieval boathouse holds you in its old timber and its old stone. The woolen blanket holds you inside the boathouse. The deep night holds all of it, and nothing more is needed. Not one thing more. Sleep now, dear traveler. The old water will keep its stillness through every remaining hour of this ancient night. The mountains will keep their watch, as they have kept it since before this boathouse stood at their shore. The mist will keep its slow movement across the lake as the cold deepens before the dawn. The old timber walls will keep their warmth around you until the morning finds its way through the gaps. And you are already somewhere the day cannot follow, already deep in the still and ancient dark, already home. Sleep now. The water is still. The old mountains are keeping watch. You are held in something ancient and patient. There is nothing more the night asks of you. You are allowed to go completely. The still lake holds your rest tonight. You are safe inside this ancient dark. There is peace in every breath you take. The old boathouse keeps its warmth around you. You are loved. You are held. You are home. The water is still. The old mountains are keeping watch. You are held in something ancient and patient. There is nothing more the night asks of you. You are allowed to go completely. The still lake holds your rest tonight. You are safe inside this ancient dark. There is peace in every breath you take. The old boathouse keeps its warmth around you. You are loved. You are held. You are home. The water is still. The old mountains are keeping watch. You are held in something ancient and patient. There is nothing more the night asks of you. You are allowed to go completely. The still lake holds your rest tonight. You are safe inside this ancient dark. There is peace in every breath you take. The old boathouse keeps its warmth around you. You are loved. You are held. You are home. The water is still. The old mountains are keeping watch. You are held in something ancient and patient. There is nothing more the night asks of you. You are allowed to go completely. The still lake holds your rest tonight. You are safe inside this ancient dark. There is peace in every breath you take. The old boathouse keeps its warmth around you. You are loved. You are held. You are home.